We're going to stay on time and welcome up three fantastic tech executives with some really good stories. So first up, we're going to talk about checkers and rallies, the drive-thru concept, and welcome up John Tryzbiak. John, welcome. Thank you for joining us here this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
To start off with, we'd like to talk about the first question is really about speed of service. What does that mean at checkers and rallies in that drive-thru concept?
Yeah, so I guess before we get into speed, I probably should describe what a checkers and rallies is. Yeah, so checkers and rallies is really a drive-thru concept, double drive-thru, small footprint, about 900 square feet. We don't typically have dining rooms, so it's really just drive-thru and walk up. And so really our speed is centered around drive-thru. And our goal is to get cars through from the time we start to measure to the transaction of the service window in under 240 seconds.
All right, that's good. So you mentioned the 240 seconds, which is great. What other KPIs are really important to you?
Yeah, so speed kind of is one of the primary focuses, but you can't really think about speed in a vacuum. So we look at a number of metrics. We look at we call it EAP, or experience to problem. We tend to shoot for less than 9% of all transactions having any sort of problem. We look at overall satisfaction scores. We look at complaints to 10,000 in sales. Really a host of metrics that kind of can help us measure customer experience, speed, really just how we're doing overall as a company.
All right, all good. What kinds of technology are you using to drive speed in the concept?
Yeah, so like I said, speed in and of itself is really, you can't just think about how fast something goes. There's so much more to it. A lot can happen to affect speed. We can, you think about staffing, turnover, faulty technology, operations procedures, menu innovation. All of those things can really have an impact on speed. So what we typically do is, as a company, we spend a lot of time going through data and analytics and really searching for opportunities for efficiencies to help drive speed. And what's cool is over, I'd say the last few years, probably more so than ever, is the business is turning to technology for solutions, right, to find those efficiencies. So I guess I could give examples, right? It's probably
well, we saw an example in that video up front. What you're doing there with tech in the drive-thru. Can we maybe hear a little more about that?
Yeah, sure. So really it's made a big splash over the last year is AI at the drive-thru. And what it is we have artificial intelligence that hooks into our audio headset speaker system and really is able to take all orders from anyone that comes in through the speaker box, pump it into the point of sale, just like it was coming in from a different channel, maybe like an off-premise order, and completely eliminates the need for a person to interact with the customer at the speaker box. And I don't know how many people are familiar with QSR, but typically that cashier position is incredibly difficult, right? You've got a person who's talking to someone at the menu board, trying to get that order, put it into the point of sale, interacting with a customer at the window, taking payment, bagging. I mean, it's complicated. So that technology is really pretty fascinating because it eliminates really a lot of friction and simplifies operations in that role specifically. There's probably a lot we could get into with that technology.
Yeah. Well, how is it received by customers? Because there's been a lot of talk about robots and machines taking over. Let's keep the humans in it. But what do the customers think?
So it was interesting when it first rolled out. We'd go out, we'd watch, and you could kind of hear some people kind of weirded them out a little bit. But really, within a short amount of time of it going in at any store, and in fact, I probably should have mentioned we're in over 300 stores now, so we have a really good sample size. Customers are either very appreciative of it, or don't even know it's part of the experience. It's just so natural to be able to talk to a machine, and they really have no problems. Kind of a anecdotal note about that. We have a franchisee up in in your neck of the woods in Michigan who, he said, a week or so after AI went live in his stores, he noticed that customers were saying please and thank you a lot more at the menu board. It made him think like, man, maybe my employees aren't really being all that nice. Like people are much more ready to say thank you to a machine. And it's cool, right? Because it's unemotional. It just always does what it's supposed to do, and it does it really well. And so I think overall customers have, like I said, it's been very well received.
It's great to hear. That's such a great anecdote.
Yeah, it's a funny story. He tells it way better. I didn't do it justice, but it's good.
You'd also mentioned that you were doing some things in the kitchen with a special initiative to drive speed there too.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, speed can be affected by numerous things. Again, menu innovation, inefficiencies throughout. So Checkers did a really interesting study. We brought a group in and just watched how people worked. Just kind of watched what happened in the kitchen. And over time, that study kind of came back and said, hey, look, there's about 1.5 miles per hour that are being walked that aren't needed. Just total wasted effort.
Pretty small space.
It's a small space, right? 900 square feet. Again, it's very small. So 1.5 miles, even saying it out loud, it makes me want to go back and check my notes, but it's the right number. So anyway, you think about how much time is wasted there and how much can be given back to just throughput. So we redesigned our kitchens to help think through being the most efficient we possibly can. We added some new machines to different parts of the station, and that's really helped with menu innovation. It kind of frees you up to be able to test new things without impacting speed.
Yeah, that's great. How about off-prem? We talked about how that's a rising trend even for the drive-thru business.
Sure, yeah. So like everyone else, off-premise is really shot up for us. I think we're at about 15% overall, which I thought was a big number until I heard some of the other folks talk about their numbers throughout the week. But so a number of transactions are coming in off-premise, bought through our order ahead. And what we decided to do was, again, thinking about efficiency is that off-premise order is extremely efficient, right? You can go at whatever speed you want. You can order fast, you can order slow. But if you show up at the drive-thru and you still have to wait, we're not really creating the type of experience that is optimal for the guests. So as I talked about, we're kind of unique. We have a double drive-thru. So what we did as off-premise became more and more a part of our business, we dedicated the left side of the drive-thru to off-premises orders. So whether you're order ahead or your third-party delivery, you just pull right up, get your food, and you go. And it's actually been incredibly beneficial.
It's great. Use what you got.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, man.
Well, Chris, good to see you again.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Here this morning.
Been a long time since Domino's, huh?
It has been. It has been. For those who don't know, and I'm sure most of you don't know us, Chris and I worked together for many years at Domino's, and had a lot of fun and made a big impact.
Yes, absolutely.
So Blaze Pizza, you've had a few other stops along the way.
I have,
since we worked together here. What does speed of service mean to you in your role at Blaze Pizza?
So part of our promise to our guests, they started as a lunch-focused business. The promise was start the order and get your pizza in 8 minutes. And when I joined Blaze Pizza 2 years ago, I recognized we don't measure anything. So we have a promise, but we have no ability based on the design by the founders of the organization to measure speed. So what I have displayed here on the screen is our cash registers are at the end of the line, similar to other brands like Chipotle and some others. But my speed of service measurement today is like 45 seconds. I put the order in at the end, I pay, I'm done. I have no other technology, but I have a promise that I'm supposed to keep to our guests. And so part of my role, without hindering operations, is to start providing data to operations so they can measure where are my problems. Just like the previous speaker said, lots of things can impact speed. And it's not, it's not to go as fast as you can, but it's to look at data and variances to data so you can see things that are outside the norm. So things I'm doing, I think we went to the next slide. We're moving one of our point of sales to the front of the line. I couldn't do it with the technology I had, so I'm having to roll out a new point of sale solution. So we're rolling out a new point of sale solution in conjunction with us, where we're going to start the order in technology at the front of the line and measure how long it takes to get to the pay. By the way, that's typically about 5 minutes because we still have to cook it once they pay. So it's typically a 3-minute cook time, similar to 6.5 at Domino's. So we can hit that 8-minute rule. So I'm putting technology at the front of the line, technology into the line, and that's just the beginning for speed of service.
Oh, that's great. So obviously you had to work very closely with operations.
Absolutely. They didn't want to disrupt anything from an operational perspective, and so I worked with the point of sale vendor and said, this is all I wanted to do at the front of the line. To take your name, take your basic product, print a chit, move.
Yeah, well, that's great. Going from measuring the transaction to measuring the customer experience.
That's right. It's all about the guest. I mean, it's great to speed up and do things like that, but I want to become the most predictable company for how long it's going to take a guest to get their food from us.
Great. So what are the kind of technology you need to pull this off?
So I already mentioned point of sale. A natural, and most people know this, or most people should know this, I need some form of equivalent kitchen display system, KDS, because I want to measure when the kitchen team, what we call Expo, bumps that order. I want to know when the order starts. I want to know when they pay. I want to know when it bumps. All brands are slightly different, but in my mind, KDS isn't the final step. The final step is when it's ready. So I think Checkers and Rally's 15% off premises worth 35. And we need to know when that order is ready, and we need to be able to predict when that order is going to be ready. So when that guest walks in, whether it's a third-party delivery person who is a guest, or it's a pickup guest, we can have that product ready for them.
Yeah, that's great. I think for a number of years we were a little spoiled in that all of our tech was integrated, and
well, we
throughout
built
the entire process.
Yes, it was very integrated.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, all good. So, what are the key takeaways for this audience? I mean, I think you mentioned earlier this is POS rollout number 4 for you.
Yeah, it's the 4th one.
It's
by the way, if anybody wants to do one, you can come and take mine for me.
So I'm sure that there's a lot of people in here who are either thinking or in the middle of doing a rollout. I mean, what are the key takeaways that as you approach this, you would offer as advice to others doing the same thing?
So speed of service, which is the topic here, it's not the same in every brand. So for people that you have to understand your manufacturing process. You have to determine where those timestamps are that you want them. And you have to use technology that's seamless to the operator, because if the operator didn't adopt it, it doesn't matter what the time is. So first, understand your manufacturing process and go from your guest experience perspective. When they start the order, because your guest has a perception of when it started. So it could have started online, like at Domino's it did for a long time. It could start when they walk in the restaurant. And the end point is when their order is ready and it's ready to be picked up. And so measuring those timestamps and then letting operations know how they can improve is the most important part in my mind. It's not necessarily the type of technology you use. It's how you leverage that technology to help operations.
You need those data points to be actionable.
That's right.
And work with your operators.
Yeah, I run into a lot of operators, and we talked about this a little bit the other day. You and I are very used to near real-time data that is actionable. That's where I want to get to. And some operators like, I couldn't do anything with, if you tell me in 5 minutes this is the situation, I can't do anything with it. I would argue that point, and I could display it to you.
You make the right metrics available in real time, and it will help operations.
Yes.
The danger, I would point out from our experience, is they got to be the right metrics.
That's right.
Because if you measure it, people will manage to it.
That's right. you remember correctly, one of the things we did, which is not speed of service related, but sort of is we all staff to the volume that we forecast. And one of the things we did at Domino's, and this is one of the things I'm planning on implementing at Blaze Pizza, is if your sales are down 10%, you're probably overstaffed right now. Now, how much money are you losing by not cutting somebody from a shift right now? Is it an hour of labor, 2 hours of labor? The only thing we can manage within operations is food and labor, really, and hope we satisfy the guest. So there's a lot of different things that's understanding the speed and putting those technologies in place will allow us to do.
That's great. All right, Chris, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yep.
for sharing this morning. Thank you for joining us here this morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you.
We'd like to start off right on speed of service,
Yep.
like we have with the others, and just talk about what is speed of service to you and to the BurgerFi concept.
Speed of service means different things to different people in the restaurant and how it all comes together. As an example, we don't necessarily think that speed of service means as fast as possible. Someone mentioned it earlier, and not to say that I'm winning, but our off-prem is 40%. I know, right? Just
Oh, who's counting?
who's counting, right? And that actually works. That works in other people's favors to be lower. But no, it's something where you take a step back, and it doesn't mean as fast as possible. So I think there's a slide. Yeah. So I've got a slide up there that kind of shows. My lines got screwed up in PowerPoint. That's okay. It shows that we have really two thoughts about how this works. We've got digital customers, and they can spend as long as they want thinking about the order, right? We don't know how long they spend looking at our website, our app, perusing. Maybe they're looking at Instagram to decide what to get. There's speed of decision that comes in, and they're placing an order. And then there's the in-person mode where maybe they're ordering at a kiosk, and we actually want them to spend as long as possible. The longer they're spending at the kiosk, the more that they're reviewing product, the more upsell they're being greeted with. And we actually see a 18% roughly increase in check average because they're able to take their time, they're able to review the product.
There you go. That kiosk is your lowest paid employee.
That's our well, I don't like to think of it that way, but yes, that's correct. They're our highest ROI employee. How about that?
There you go. I like it.
And then we track timing on the human interaction, right? If it takes 3 minutes at the POS to order BurgerFi, that's perfectly fine. Maybe I talk to you about allergies. Maybe I talk to you about our special. I hope we talk to you about the special that we're running, LTO, and we capture that, but we don't hold people accountable to it. We don't tell them what our expectations are. We just push for good customer service. All of those orders come into the kitchen, into KDS, and really at the point of payment being complete, we start the clock again. And we do have SLAs of 8 minutes or less to complete the product, understanding that all of our food is fresh cooked, not frozen. So there is a longer time period compared to a lot of QSR. And we map that, and then we measure that to the time that the expediter says, I've handed off the food. So that's another time point there. And just taking a quick step back, the time that we really care about is not as quick as possible. Maybe it is for dine-in, but really it's about that promise time, right? I promised the driver it will be there at 11:05. We want it to be ready at 11:05. We don't get credit for it if it's ready at 10:55. In fact, we're going to hurt ourselves. It's to our detriment because our food gets colder, fries get soggier. Really, it's about 11:05 is the time that we want to hit. There are a couple more time points that we care about. It's more aspirational in being able to not measure, but bring it in for a 360-degree view. But we also know there's a time that the driver takes to deliver, which is a good portion of our orders off-prem, and then the time it's delivered. So we have multiple time points. There's I came in, I ordered, I cooked, I gave it to the person, or I put it out for the driver, I drove, and then the customer received it. And I think we'll see correlation between drive time and satisfaction. I think that's obvious. But in terms of our technology that support that, Olo does have the capability to restrict how long we want that drive time to be. So we're looking at that. Obviously, with DSPs, we limit the radius so that it makes sense. Our fries don't travel, unfortunately. But we put quality paramount, and we have to balance that with revenue. And I think that all comes under the umbrella of speed of service.
That's great. I think yesterday we were talking about hot and fresh.
Hot and fresh,
right?
fresh, crunchy fries.
It's the right thing to optimize on, and certainly
Yep.
going to pay off with results in the long term. So you talked about a lot of different touch points and technology. I think the ecosystem diagram is very helpful. I think a lot of other folks have something rather similar to all this. But what do you view as your key performance indicators?
Our key performance indicators are really that time to complete the order. And I was on a call this morning with our GMs. We have a weekly or bi-weekly GM call, and we reviewed the timings. What's that time from order place to order complete for our in-house guests? And it wasn't a good call, right? It wasn't revealing probably a little too much, but it wasn't a great call because our timings have slipped a little bit, and we're holding our GMs accountable. This isn't acceptable. We have high standards on what our guests expect. We want to meet those expectations. And that's a part of our brand, to get that high quality food in a reasonably fast time. And that's what we're aiming for. We do scorecards for our stores, and speed of service is one of those components, along with cleanliness and a lot of other factors. And our GMs are held accountable. Their bonuses are tied to it in a portion. And of course, retreats are there. And naturally, you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of that list.
All right. That's good. So what kind of technology are you using to help speed up service in the restaurant?
Yeah, there's a lot. So I think Olo as our middleware helps us because we don't spend a lot of time then integrating with other parties. So I would say something that's really new for us, very exciting. We're integrated with Mavi. They're the in-car ordering portion. So that helps us capture a whole market that could be, people on the way to work, on the way home, I should say, people who drive for a living, and really driving those orders into the system. So Olo consolidates all of that. That then goes into our Oracle Symphony POS that captures all that data and puts it into a tool called Mirrors. They were also here at the show. And Mirrors is our BI tool that we sit on top that generates all the scorecards, all the reporting, ad hoc reporting for our operators. And to Chris's point earlier, we're looking back, and we'd love to get to real time and traffic lights. We're not there yet. But there's other data that we know we want to capture. Uber and DoorDash provide look back on times of delivery. We have dispatch timings today, but we need to bring that into the fold and understand, okay, this store is doing well, this store's not doing well. We need to have a conversation with Uber. We need to change out our delivery partners. Those kind of conversations can only happen if you have the data to back it up and go to that partner and say, look, we got a problem here, and we need your help to fix it.
That sounds good. And another thing you mentioned to me the other day was about Becky.
Oh, Becky. Yeah, Becky's my favorite Anthony's Cold Fire Pizza and Wings employee. She works a lot of overtime, and she picks up the phone for everyone and walks you through placing an order. She's our phone AI system for our pizza brand, and she's powered by Converse now. So I find it fascinating from a cultural perspective that in the United States, we still have a good portion of customers who want to pick up the phone to place a pizza order. Comparatively, we get 0 burger orders on the phone. So I do find it fascinating. There's still this large segment of the population that just want to pick up the phone. And we're able to take those orders. They come through our middleware. They'll be on Olo here very, very shortly. And it just feeds into the system. Again, we look at a lot of metrics on the AI, mostly fallout and what words aren't working. How can we build up the dictionary to help? And I think it's been well received. There's still tweaks. I think that the models will improve over time, but I'm very excited because that's a lot of non-value add interaction that then allow us to defer that labor, the actual dollar labor, to hospitality and interaction in front of the guest, face to face, when I'm picking up the meal or maybe I'm ordering at a table. So I can free up that labor to provide more hospitality, hopefully raise ratings, reviews, come back again sooner. That's the goal.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again, Karl. I appreciate you being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.